Days leading to his father's wedding, a man struggles to keep his half-sister at arm's length, more so when he feels something more for her. One morning, Mete wakes up to a coconut beside his bed. Remembering the night before, he immediately stuffs the bedsheet into the washing machine and prepares for the day. His friend Damiano calls him to announce that he got lucky last night with Beatrice. However, she left to buy breakfast but accidentally locked him in the flat, so he's stuck. While barely listening, Mete pauses when he sees a note stuck to his fridge. The man soon rushes to the church, barely catching up to the wedding of his father Sergio to his new stepmother Verna. When he enters, Verna's daughter and his half-sister Belinda eyes him knowingly. After the ceremony, Mete gives his new stepmother a bonsai as a gift and joins them in their family photo. The wedding party leaves the church after but stops when a ball drops from above. Mete catches it but sees no one looking for it from the balcony above. Still, he kicks the ball up. Days before this, Mete arrived at Verna's old apartment. However, he later asserted to his father that he would only be staying temporarily, though Sergio encouraged him to stay as long as he needed. Knowing what was bothering his son, Sergio begged him to move on, but Mete walked off, refusing to do so. Soon, Mete went to work as a graphologist where he speculated about a man's background based on his handwriting. However, he started theorizing about the man who wrote the will they were studying, so his colleague Bruno stopped him, noting that such speculation wasn't part of their job. When Mete returned to the apartment, he was surprised to find Belinda's bags, so he called his father, pissed that the woman would be moving with him. Sergio assured that Belinda just needed a place to stay for the wedding, having refused to stay at their house because of the chaotic preparations. He also hoped that Mete could talk to her, given that she was in trouble at school. Not interested in this, Mete just reiterated to his father that he'd be moving out soon. Later, Mete joined Bruno and Damiano for dinner. Damiano was selling an apartment to Bruno, but it was too expensive for him. Mete agreed with him since getting a place he couldn't afford wouldn't help him gain custody of his daughter. Their conversation was interrupted when Bruno's mother called. Mete used this chance to remind Damiano how little they earn as graphologists, but the man just advised them to switch careers to earn more money. Just then, they overheard Bruno assuring his mother that he'd deliver her message to his wife. After the call, the man confessed to his friends that he couldn't bear to tell his mother that his wife cheated on him for years. By the time Mete arrived in the apartment, he found Belinda already asleep. Mete couldn't help but notice her beauty as she turned in bed. In the morning, he immediately left once he heard Belinda waking up. She called him just as he was leaving the building, and he lied that he was late for an appointment. Instead, he went to a local casino to pass the time away from his stepsister. Meanwhile, Belinda had fun listening to music while unpacking her bags. Late that afternoon, Mete called Damiano to hang out, so the man brought him and Bruno to the club that night. While they were in line outside, the beautiful Beatrice passed by and gained VIP access to the club. Seeing her excited Damiano, so he hurried to get into the establishment. As Damiano fawned over Beatrice from a distance, Mete decided to take his chance and approach the lady. Surprisingly, he caught her attention. His friends also got attention from other women, making their night more exciting. Soon, however, Bruno started feeling dazed and imagining himself floating over the clubbers. During the drive back home, Mete invited them to have breakfast somewhere, but Bruno just wanted to go home. This forced Mete to return to his apartment after a night of making excuses to avoid Belinda. Ultimately, he refused to go in, so he spent the night in another bar before going to his father's place. The next morning, Sergio met him at the sauna. He worried that his son was still angry with him for falling in love with another woman. He admitted that he never loved Mete's mother and just stayed with her because of Mete. Instead, he always loved Verna. Sergio prayed that his son found a woman he'd feel the same way for. The topic made Mete uncomfortable, so he left. That afternoon, Mete visited Damiano at a penthouse he was selling. After his clients left, Damiano shared that he was planning to use the penthouse to seduce another lady. Mete asked if they could go out instead, but the man refused to miss the chance to get lucky. Bruno later found Mete working late, making him suspicious. He also scolded him for making assumptions about their previous job with a will, reminding him that graphology wasn't based on imagination. He then rambled on about how the science of graphology allowed them to see when a writer had changed thoughts in between sentences based on their handwriting. He called them drifters as they tend to seem distant since their thoughts were always drifting. After this, Mete asked Bruno to hang out, but he revealed that his daughter was staying with him tonight. With no choice, Mete wandered around the city that night until Belinda called him for an emergency. This made him rush back home where he found her scooping soapy water from the floor, having mistakenly removed the washing machine hose. The two cleaned the mess, and as they did, Belinda mentioned mentioned that their parents invited them for dinner tomorrow. The woman begged him to go with her before teasingly looking into his eyes. As Mete leaned in, however, she swatted him with her rag teasingly, starting a playful fight. The two then watched a documentary, leading Mete to realize that Belinda spent most of her time by herself lately. With this in mind, she asked him to pick up something for her from a friend, but when asked why she couldn't do it herself, Belinda just shrugged. Late that night, Mete went to bed but couldn't sleep. He checked on Belinda and he found her asleep without clothes. The following day, Mete went to Belinda's friend, Sophia. The woman was surprised that Belinda was back, so she ushered Mete back to the apartment to see her. At the apartment, the lady started using Sophia's stash, though the woman reminded Belinda that she still owed her. With this, Belinda asked to borrow money from Mete, which he refused. Just then, someone rang the doorbell, so Mete hurried out, meeting Damiano by the stairs. The man wanted to have lunch at his friend's apartment, but Mete insisted on going to a cafe since his sister and her friend were there. However, this only encouraged Damiano to meet the ladies. Damiano soon shared lunch with the ladies while Mete watched them in disdain. Bruno then called him for an appointment, leaving his friend with the ladies. That night, Mete went to their family dinner, but Belinda and Sergio weren't there yet. To fill the air, Verna asked her stepson about his opinions on their wedding, but he admitted that he might not be the appropriate person to ask. He commented on how he was still not used to his father being back in his life, and while Verna tried to comfort him, Mete reminded her that she wasn't the one Sergio abandoned. Verna tried to defend Sergio's choice, adding that Mete's mother had her faults as well. However, the man warned her against commenting against his mother. The woman apologized but expressed her love for Sergio and for them becoming a family. With that, she hoped that Mete would attend the wedding. After dinner, Mete went home and found the apartment a mess, suggesting that Belinda had spent the whole day with their friends. Hearing her in the shower, he asked why she didn't go to dinner, so she excused that she fell asleep after hanging out with Sophia and Damiano. Mete lamented how she begged him to go, yet he was left with only Verna since Sergio also never showed up. After showering, Belinda showed him how to turn soap scraps into a new bar to recycle them. They then watched a TV show where Sergio was a guest participant. While Belinda was excited to see him, Mete wasn't as enthused. He then mentions that Sergio thought she was depressed, hence why she got in trouble at school. Belinda rolled her eyes at this, recounting how their classroom got flooded and she only got blamed for it. Mete asked if she was at fault, and she admitted that maybe she was a bit guilty. Just then, she laid her head on his lap, distracting Mete. As she drifted off, Belinda mentioned dreaming about him getting beaten up by puppets. Eventually, Belinda fell asleep on the couch, so Mete went out to clear his head as he could no longer ignore that he felt something for her. He spent the dawn walking around, but the fatigue of not sleeping properly was weighing him down. He accidentally fell asleep by the fountain, dreaming about a bare Belinda gathering soap from a hotel trolley. The exhausted man then went to work but couldn't focus. Desperate to ignore his thoughts, he called Beatrice, who quickly invited him on a date, much to his surprise. By late afternoon, as they were leaving the office, Bruno mentioned that he'd be spending the day with his daughter tomorrow, so he couldn't go to work. With hours to spare before his date, Mete tagged along with Bruno to join his daughter Carlotta at a birthday party. After the party, they drove her and her friend home. Mete found himself enjoying the girl's company during the drive. However, Bruno reminded him that they'd be taking Livia home while he'd spent some time with his daughter, so Mete had to go elsewhere. Desperate, he called Damiano, but to his horror, Belinda picked up. She urged him to hang out with them despite Damiano's clear intentions, so Mete had no choice but to go home. There, Damiano claimed that he was visiting his friend but found him not home, so he hung out with his sister instead. Belinda then invited her brother to join them, and when he declined, she wondered if he was mad about them hanging out. To test him, Belinda got closer to Damiano and revealed to Mete that he flirted with her. Damiano quickly defended that she was lying, but Belinda just playfully demonstrated to her brother how his friend tried to seduce her by offering a massage. After this, the woman suggested ordering takeouts, but Mete claimed that he and Damiano had plans. Sensing that it was an excuse, his friend played along. Outside, Damiano asked why Mete lied, but the man claimed that he just needed to return to work. He then insisted that Damiano shouldn't go to the apartment without him. The man repeated that he didn't flirt with his sister, but instead claimed that Sophia and Belinda might be into each other. This only pissed Mete further, so he reiterated that his friend shouldn't go there without him again. Finally, Mete went on his date with Beatrice, though he barely listened to her talking about her exciting job. Still, Beatrice was interested in him and even insisted on splitting splitting the bill. She believed that men footing the bill was a fake form of chivalry, adding that she already knew Mete was a good man without him doing this. As she took the bill, Beatrice then urged him to talk about himself since he hadn't shared anything yet. Mete claimed that he was just interested in her stories, but the woman suspected that he was making himself more mysterious, which she liked. Beatrice then suggested he spent the night at her place, but all he could think of was Belinda. He imagined her in her school uniform about to flood her classroom. Pulling himself out of this thought, he went with Beatrice to her apartment where he took the risk and kissed her. To his surprise, the woman got angry and sent him away. However, as he called a cab, Beatrice was surprised that he was actually leaving, making her think he didn't really like her. With that, she removed her top, convincing him to cancel his ride to spend the night with her. Despite the passionate evening, however, Mete found himself unable to sleep. He tried to leave, but Beatrice woke up, forcing him to stay. The following day, Bruno accompanied his daughter on her field trip only to receive a call from a client who was waiting at their empty office since Mete wasn't there. Instead, Mete was still at Beatrice's apartment, carefully getting ready to leave without waking her. However, he got distracted when he spotted her notebook where he found her handwriting equal in its spacing. This reminded him of Bruno's drifter theory, as Beatrice's handwriting showed how focused she was. He then wrote a note for the woman before going to work, but Beatrice caught him. Out of awkwardness, he claimed that he planned on staying. The woman was unconvinced, ranting about how all the men she'd been with left her before dawn. She admitted that she was glad he wasn't gone yet, but called him a taxi anyway, knowing that he wanted to leave. Seeing a more sensitive side from her, Mete promised to call her again, hoping this would cheer her up. However, Beatrice assumed that he was pitying her, so she demanded him to say what he really thought of her. Her sudden rage scared Mete into finally leaving. As he rode the elevator to his office, Mete couldn't help but picture Sofia and Belinda together. His thoughts then shifted to imagining Belinda waiting for him. The moment he arrived at the office, however, Bruno scolded him for not being there earlier, forcing him to leave his daughter. Mete apologized, admitting that he forgot that he wasn't coming, but his friend continued to berate him. He pointed out that he had to leave Carlotta, otherwise they'd lose a lot of money from their client. He accused Mete of not caring about that since his father was rich anyway. In contrast, he needed that money for his daughter. Mete got defensive and insisted that he had his own problems. However, when Bruno asked what they were, he just walked away. That night, Mete went home to Belinda. His phone rang, but he rejected the call, making his sister wonder where he was last night. Without waiting for an answer, Belinda presented her first try at baking. This uplifts both their moods. She then mentioned that Damiano invited them to a party, and Mete encouraged Belinda to go with him. She refused, but he pointed out that she was always stuck at home. Still, Belinda defended that she liked being at home. Because of this, Mete went to the party alone, though he felt disconnected as he spoke with the guests. This was until he spotted Beatrice. Nervous, he asked Damiano if they could leave, but his friend gave him a mojito and a coconut, urging him to just drink and have fun. Finally, Damiano spotted Beatrice, and seeing that he wanted to talk to her, Mete left on his own to avoid the woman. He paced aimlessly through the streets, still carrying the coconut mojito. His thoughts were still filled with Belinda, and finally, he made a decision. He rushed up to their apartment where Belinda waited for him, all dressed up. Mete then went up to her, and finally, the two kissed, beginning their night of passion. The morning after, Beatrice found herself next to Damiano, whom she spent the night with. She invited the still sleeping man to spend the day together, but it was the morning of Sergio's wedding which Damiano was supposed to attend. Since Beatrice couldn't go, he offered to go out with her another day. However, the woman wasn't convinced that he'd call her, so she prepared to leave, claiming to be picking up breakfast. This was when she took the keys to the penthouse, locking Damiano in. Meanwhile, Belinda woke up before Mete and left the coconut beside him. She then prepared for her parents' wedding, leaving him a note where she explained that she needed to help her mother. This was the note that Mete found while he was talking to Damiano over the phone later. Soon, Mete rode his bike to the church while Belinda enjoyed the city breeze during her car ride. Finally, Mete saw his father marry Verna, and seeing their happiness made him consider accepting their relationship after all these years. During this, Damiano was waiting for Beatrice on the balcony when the wind shut the door, locking him outside. After the wedding, Bruno approached Mete, allowing them to reconcile. The man then handed Belinda's note to his friend, as she was a good example of his drifter theory. As the crowd applauded the newlyweds, Mete asked Belinda what happened last night, hoping that she'd say nothing did. She confirmed to him that they slept together, but she assured him that they could just forget about it. Finally, a group of kids wait for their ball that dropped in front of the wedding party. To their delight, Mete kicks it back to them. The man then joins the newlyweds and Belinda in the wedding car with Sergio driving. During the ride, Sergio plays a song on the radio and the ladies sing along. Mete hesitates, but upon Belinda's encouragement, he finds himself singing as well, accepting himself as part of this strange family.
Subscribe to watch more videos like this, turn on notifications and leave a like to help the channel out. Thank you for watching.